Mad Max was an interesting story about a post-apocalyptic world. No buffalo though.
No, just drive so I can do a drive-by of the buffalo.
This is indeed a disturbing universe.
Hello, greetings, and welcome. Welcome to the Stereo 999 YouTube channel. I am your host, the artist formerly known as Stereo Steve. Okay, so for a while there was a tag, 10 records nobody else in the VC has or talks about or something like that. In my last video I was kind of being pompous and saying, well, you know, I'm so out there that everything I talk about is like that, which is not true. So I decided that I'll go through this stack of super obscure records that I've never heard anybody ever talk about in the VC, and we'll get into it. Seriously though, these are relatively obscure records. I'm going to start with this one. This is a band called Blue Rose, and it is on the Yellow Epic label. I really don't know much about this band, except that they do the original version of a song called My Impersonal Life, which is one of my favorite tracks on this Three Dog Night album, Harmony, the one that has Never Been to Spain on it. Yeah, I guess I talk about Three Dog Night a lot. Well, you know, they were a big deal in the 70s, even the, you know, this whole mustache rock thing, you know. Did not write hardly any of their frickin' songs. Thus, this Blue Rose record. Alright, next obscurity. This is a band called Freaks Amour. Regressive music for mind and body. It's got that homegrown, self-pressed kind of look here. Regressive, a Stone Age approach to music. Grungy, simplistic noise, best when improvised and that which is not art. This first track, Sleep, is a pretty amazing kind of hypnotic tape loop soundscapey. The address on here, Port Washington, New York, though I recognize one of the main guys in this band, Grant Miller, did move to San Francisco, and this is from around 1989. Okay. Next obscurity, and this is in the same kind of vein of homegrown, homemade. I think every cover is different because it's just glued and pasted together. The band is called Dinah Shore Jr. And again, there's a really beautiful atmospheric track that kicks it off called Moonray. And I think they were based in like Nashville or something. I don't know. I've tried to find information about them, and it's kind of a wild goose chase. But the wild goose is not going to chase itself. Again, 1997. So the late 90s were kind of a good time for these homegrown weird records. Okay. And now we go to the 60s. So we go to Italy. This is on the RCA Italiana label. This is the Showmen. And this is pretty cool. I mean, imagine Tom Jones singing in Italian with a very funky band backing him up. Credi, credi, credi. That's Mercy, Mercy. You can see the Joe Zawinul credit. Get It is an instrumental with some crazy saxophone playing. I believe the horn player in this band went on to the prog band Osana. And there's also covers of Piece of My Heart and Papa's Got a Brand New Bag. So yeah, The Showman, Mamma Mia. Alright, now we go to Portland, Oregon, again in the late 90s. Stephen Ray Lobdell, live at Club Donut. And it's just basically two sides of dense improvised guitar on the Holy Mountain label, recorded in 2003. And if you've never heard of Stephen Lobdell, he joined Faust in the late 90s, and he plays on this album. And maybe this counts because, you know, whenever I hear anybody in the VC talking about Faust, you know, it's the classic early, you know, mid-70s albums, and it's usually somebody doing a retrospective of krautrock. But they did get back together in the 90s with Lobdell on guitar, played some amazing shows. And this is pretty interesting because it's a double album, but one record is a 10-inch, and then the other record is a 12-inch. So yeah, don't snooze on those 90s Faust albums. Alright, speaking of 10-inch records, this is Peter the Man-Eater, the Peter Fonda album. And this is a 10-inch tribute to Peter Fonda. It's got, I recognize some names, some Bay Area troublemakers. It's got the Zip Code Rapists, which was Greg Neil Hamburger Turkington's project. And yeah, this is just a fun little oddball 90s kind of indie weirdo record. At the end of one of the sides, though, there is a spoken word bit which I heard sampled on this, the Low Fidelity All-Stars, How to Operate with a Blown Mind. And it's kind of dance music, I guess. It's on Skint, which was the same label that Fatboy Slim was on. So again, we're just kind of hanging in the 90s here. But let's go a little further back to the early 80s. I believe this is 1981. Jobs for America. Jobs for America by Arthur Harrison and Rupert Chappell. And 1982, okay. This is what you would call minimal synth music nowadays. And besides the nice analog synth pulsations, there's also some funny lyrics. I especially like the song Interstellar Safeway. I don't remember if I ever talked about this before. I might have talked about this before. This is Leroy Pullen's I'm a Nut. And this is in really good shape. This is something I didn't even think I would find, but I literally went into a record store because I needed change for the bus and found this for $1. I had this 45 when I was a kid, that like an uncle gave it to me. And it's like a early 60s novelty country song. And if you go look around YouTube, you will see a lot of mistaken listings that it's a Roger Miller song, because it's in the similar vein. But Leroy Pullen's is not Roger Miller. Okay, and here's a record a lot of people don't like because of expectations. This is a band called American Flyer. I think it's from like 1973. Produced by George Martin. But the thing about American Flyer is that Doug Yule was in this band. And people get this record expecting the Velvet Underground, and then they're pissed off because this is not the Velvet Underground in any way, shape, form, or fashion. This is pretty much mellow, jello, easy rock, along the lines of, say, like Bread or America, who were also produced by George Martin. But, you know, y'all need Jesus. Y'all need some Jesus. This is a thrift store find. This is Maranatha 3, Rejoice in the Lord. And this is the 1973 Hippie Jesus Rock collection. And, you know, nobody wants to pray to Republican Jesus, but Hippie Jesus was a little more on the same page with actual Jesus, in my humble opinion. Though I don't know if he would get the mountains and trees like high while he's walking through the forest. These are the artists that are on it. But, you know, if you're expecting some, like, just heavy blowout Jesus rock, this is pretty mellow. If you want some really heavy-duty Jesus rock, I would look for this compilation, Holy Fuzz. It's got the heavier hitters here. It's got the Excursions and the Search Party and the All Saved Freak Band. And yeah, if you want to just go all out with the hippie Jesus rock, look for this Holy Fuzz compilation. This one is nice for Sunday morning. Alright, so there's my obscure records. Stay tuned.
This ship goes where I want it to go.
Security, take them both to the brig.
Freeze. Hey!
Cut.
RCA Stereo 8-track cartridge tapes. The exciting new way to enjoy the music you want. Yes. Anyway, I'll show you, I was like going through cleaning up some junk, and I found this. So I decided to frame this Boston picture disc because it's totally fucked and unplayable. So this is the purpose that its destiny is to serve. I just had more than a feeling that that was the right thing to do.
On your horns. Try to do it. That's right.
I'm going to talk about jazz CDs some more, because jazz CDs make me happy. Because they just do. They're plentiful copies of records that should be plentiful in the world. Because jazz is America's music, man. Alright. So this is a OJC of the Quintet live at Massey Hall. And you've maybe seen this on vinyl titled The Greatest Jazz Concert Ever. And Massey Hall's in Toronto, Canada. It's May 15th, 1953. And it's Max Roach on drums, Charles Mingus on bass, Bud Powell on piano, Dizzy Gillespie on trumpet, and on the original copies of the record it said Charlie Chan on alto saxophone, because Charlie Parker was under contract with a different label, probably Verve, and couldn't use his name. But yeah, and this is the 90s, early 90s original jazz classic label. All right. Best of Thelonious Monk on Blue Note. And Thelonious Monk was on several different labels, on Columbia in the 60s, on Riverside and Prestige before that. In the 50s, the Blue Note Thelonious Monk stuff is the earliest. The late 40s, early 50s, originally came out on 78's type Thelonious Monk stuff. And this has got the classic tunes, Ruby My Dear. Miles Davis. Next few are going to be Miles Davis. This is the remastered Sketches of Spain with the disc looking like the OG label. It's got a nice booklet and some bonus material. This is the late 80s botched Miles Davis Kind of Blue. I mean, it's still listenable. I mean, supposedly they used the safety copy of the tape that was, you know, a microtone faster or something with the recording. And but the real debacle is that they changed the cover art. I don't know why they did that, but when this was first released, I thought this was an abomination because it was the only version that was in print. But now it's an interesting variant, and if you see it for $1, do grab it. Keep them out of the landfills. If you don't have Kind of Blue at all, you know, and you don't want to pay, you know, an arm and a leg for a 45 RPM special box set that you're going to have to keep getting up to flip over. Miles Davis Kind of Blue. Miles Smiles. This is also part of that Columbia Jazz masterpiece. This is the second classic quartet, you know, with Wayne Shorter and Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter. Pre-fusion. It's got Footprints and Freedom Jazz Dance, and you can't go wrong with any version of this album. You just, you know, everybody just needs more Miles Davis in their life, is basically what I'm saying. Tribute to Jack Johnson. This would be a good one to have on vinyl if I were to find it on vinyl, because it's like 2 long, 20-minute long tracks, which means 2 sides, you know. But this is a pretty brilliant kind of fusion funk rock, you know. Heavy guitar, just funky rhythm, and just Miles going off. This is the Panthalassa. This is like the Bill Laswell, Miles Davis remix thing. And it's a pretty good montage of like In a Silent Way and On the Corner and Get Up With It. It's like those albums kind of interweaved with bits of tabla. It's a good one. It's nice music to chill out to. And this is Joe Sample, Rainbow Seeker. I think it's from what, 1979, 78, something like that. This is kind of a smooth jazz fusion guilty pleasure. He played keyboards with the Crusaders. He also played on the aforementioned Steely Dan Asia. And this is the cheapest of all CD reissues. This is just no frills. It's MCA. It's got the front cover. It's got an ad. It's got the song titles. No personnel. No liner notes. Generic back cover. Alright, and last but not least, The Bridge by Sonny Rollins with Jim Hall on guitar. Great album. And the sticker says original issue, so I guess this was the first CD pressing of it.
good. We can use that.
Save it, please.
That's it. I'm getting out of here.